Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles of American Civil War, which hosts Bang and Dang, continuing on the year of 1864 with nothing but Red River Campaign and the partnering Camden expedition. Still can't just end it, guys. You're not taking Shreveport. Jeez. Just get over it.
Might.
No, we know they don't. It's ridiculous. Banks is getting his ass handed to him at every point. Sad. But we got to cover it. Monett's Ferry, which is part of the Red River Campaign, and then Mark's Mills, which is part of the Camden expedition. So, yeah, in the meantime, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network, shorts, clips, exclusive Dart League, as well as full episodes of all of our podcasts the day they released on podcast apps. Spotify, Apple. Go give us a review and share us with your friends. Monett's Ferry in Louisiana and Mark's Mills in Arkansas. My bad, I thought it was in Texas. And then we have two more battles next time, and then we'll get to the Battle of the Wilderness. Go back to Virginia, finally. The old Army of the Potomac and the Army of the Virginia coming out of, what do they call it? The winter hibernation. About damn time. Some real freaking generals and troops on the field. Jeez.
And there'll be a Cinco de Mayo battle.
Ooh.
And bring your sombreros. Bring your sombreros and tequila.
Grant's like, okay. Starting out, Monett's Ferry, or Monett's Bluff, April 23rd, 1864, which saw a Confederate States Army force led by Brigadier General Hamilton P.B. He's going after, this time, William Emery of the Union. He's trying to block them during the Red River Campaign. I think he's going to do it, too. We know why it was undertaken.
All right. Oh, Abe Lincoln.
Major General William B. Franklin led 17,000 Union soldiers up Bayou Teche to Alexandria to meet Major General Andrew Jackson Smith, 10,000 troops, and Rear Admiral David Dixon Porter's fleet of gunboats and river transports. Meanwhile, Major General Frederick Steele, with 15,000 men, moved south from Little Rock, Arkansas, planning a rendezvous with Banks near Shreveport. We know that didn't happen because Banks was defeated by Taylor's Confederate army at the Battle of Mansfield. Though his troops repulsed Taylor's attack at the Battle of Pleasant Hill the very next day, April 9th.
They did 2 pointless battles there.
Right.
At this very time.
Well, except for the Confederates did gain a lot of supplies.
They did, as usual. At this very time, Taylor's superior, General Edmund Kirby Smith, took away most of Taylor's infantry to fight Steele's column, leaving Taylor with only 5,200 troops. Banks' army waited at Grand Ecore near Natchitoches until 15th of April, when it was rejoined by Porter's fleet, which was returning downriver. Banks decided to abandon the campaign because Smith's troops were already overdue to be returned to Major General William T. Sherman. Well, they can wait a little longer.
I don't know. Sherman's trying to go to the Atlanta right now.
And also because Steele was unlikely to join them.
Yeah.
Banks' army left Grand Ecore on the 21st of April, 1864, heading for Alexandria. Porter, he struggled to get his fleet downriver because, guess what? The water's low.
Yep, they all had to back up before they could turn around. Banks, meanwhile, was unaware that most of Taylor's infantry was no longer present. Bang and Dang assert that Banks might have advanced to capture Shreveport had he known. Probably could have, should have. Right. To prepare for the march to Alexandria, all unneeded blankets, overcoats, and gear were burned by the soldiers of the Union. The march began the afternoon of 21st of April. The Union cavalry led the way, screening the front, right, and rear. It was followed in order by the 19th Corps, the 13th Corps, the 17th Corps, while the 16th Corps formed the rear guard.
Fantastic. Placed in charge of the march, Franklin demanded that a rapid pace be maintained. 7 p.m., 22nd April. The leading element of the column reached Cloudierville, having marched over 40 miles. Smith's rear guard troops arrived at about 3 a.m. on the 23rd of April.
Jeez, dude. That's just the scope of the damn army.
All right, having skirmished with the Confederate pursuers.
Well, that's also why.
They also burned every building along the route.
Yes, they did.
The Union soldier wrote, At one time, I counted 15 burning houses or mills.
Just because. 1864, I guess we're going to learn about the Cane River now. This is where this takes place by.
The Old River.
1864, the Cane River, also called the Old River, split from the Red River near Grand Ecore and flowed generally southeast. Cane River ran roughly parallel and west of the Red River before flowing into the Red River again near Colfax. After leaving Grand Ecore, Banks' army, thanks for that geography lesson.
Right.
Banks' army crossed the Cane River at Natchitoches into what was essentially an island. The only outlet from the island at the southeastern end was Monett's Ferry.
Oh.
Taylor was outnumbered by Banks 25,000 to 5,000.
Oh, wow.
Yet he devised a plan to trap the Union army. I don't know how you're going to do that, Taylor. Taylor knew that Monett's Ferry made an excellent defensive position. On the south bank of the ferry, there were high hills, lakes, and forests. That's true.
I mean, that kind of equals it out. Nightfall, 20th April. Taylor had B's cavalry division marching towards Monett's Ferry. Taylor ordered Brigadier General James Patrick Major's cavalry to join B, while keeping Brigadier General William Steele's cavalry to pursue the Union army. Brigadier General Camille de Polignac, his infantry division, moved to block a western exit from the island at Cloutierville, while Brigadier General St. John Richardson Liddell's forces was positioned near Colfax to block Banks' army from crossing the east bank of the Red River. After Brigadier General Thomas Greene was moited at the Battle of Blair's Landing on 12th April, B assumed command of Taylor's cavalry corps because he outranked Major, who was more experienced.
You think who was more experienced just because I outrank you? But hey, man, you're more experienced. Why don't you take control? Stupid.
Nope, that's not how they did it.
Even the 22nd of April, when Brigadier General John A. Wharton's Confederate cavalry tried to attack the Federal rearguard near Cloutierville, a minor panic ensued when the cavalrymen believed they were being outflanked. Despite the efforts of Lieutenant Colonel D.C. Giddings of the 21st Texas Cavalry Regiment, the cavalry retreated. This proved to be fortuitous because the Union rearguard was lying in ambush. Confederates followed at a distance and were able to put out the fire set in Cloutierville by Smith's infantry. Oh, damn. So, good for them. They almost got ambushed there, huh?
Wow.
In the pre-dawn hour of April 23rd, Captain John M.T. Barnes of the 1st Louisiana Regular Battery briefly shelled the Union rearguard south of Cloutierville. When this provoked the Federal cavalry to deploy, they were charged by Colonel George Carter's Confederate Cavalry Brigade and driven back 1,200 yards.
Damn.
However, Union artillery fire caused the Confederate horsemen to pull back, and the Union retrograde movement continued.
Ooh, all right. Brigadier General Cuvier Grover's 19th Corps Division, 3,000 soldiers, had been left to garrison Alexandria during the initial Union advance. After the Battle of Pleasant Hill, Banks ordered 3 of Grover's regiments to join him at Grand Ecore. These troops arrived via riverboat under the command of Brigadier General Henry Warner Burge. The wound Franklin received at Mansfield rendered him unfit for duty. So he handed command over to M.G. William H. Emory, Major General,
Right.
On the morning of 23rd April, 1864. Emory began his march at 4:30 a.m. and advanced 3 miles before his troops ran into B's skirmishes, which were driven across the Cane River.
Emory's troops saw that they lost the race to the crossing. They faced the apparently strongly held bluffs on the south bank while realizing there was a Confederate force behind them as well. One Union soldier recalled, a general despondency pervaded the whole army. Furthermore, the area right in front of the bluff was cleared of trees and under potential crossfire from Confederate artillery.
Oh, shit.
For his part, B was startled by seeing 15,000 Union soldiers in front of his force of 2,000.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, B was determined to hold his ground. He and the other Confederate soldiers believed that, leaders believed that Monett's Ferry was the only place where the Cane River could be forded.
Right. I think they could be all right if they can use that artillery. B, he assigned Colonel Walter P. Lane's brigade, led by Colonel Xavier Debray, to hold the left flank. Major's brigade to defend the center, and Colonel Arthur P. Bagby, Jr., his brigade to watch the right flank.
Oh, so there's 2 douchebags running around named Arthur P. Bagby, huh?
Right. 36th Texas Cavalry Regiment under Colonel Peter C. Woods. He supported the center, while Debray's 26th Cavalry of Texas supported the right. B's artillery included Captain T.D. Nettles' Valverde, Texas Battery, Captains M.V. McMahon's and William G. Mosley's Texas batteries, and also Captain John A. West's Louisiana Battery. They were all there. Colonel Alexander W. Terrell's brigade was sent to guard the supply depot at Beasley's plantation.
All right. Well, the infantry under Emory's immediate command were his own 19th Corps Division, Burgess soldiers, and Brigadier General Robert Alexander Cameron's 13th Corps Division. He also had available Brigadier General Richard Arnold's cavalry and Captain Henry W. Clausen's artillery. Decided against a frontal assault, Emory ordered Burge to take his 3rd Brigade, which was 2 of Cameron's regiments, and the 13th Connecticut Infantry to go upstream and look for a ford.
Hey.
So we got to get across the river, boys.
Right, looking for that Model T, baby. Meanwhile, Emory sent Colonel Edmund J. Davis's 4th Cavalry Brigade downstream to look for a viable crossing. He ain't gonna find one. Davis's mission ended in failure.
Sure did.
But Burge's troops encountered a local black man who showed them a little-known fort about 2 miles upstream.
Look at this guy.
Right. To draw attention away from Burge's flanking column, Emory deployed the 1st and 2nd Brigades of his own division opposite the ferry crossing in a show of force.
After being guided across the waist-deep ford, Burge's soldiers slogged through a marsh before arriving at a dry ground. They waded across a small bayou and marched they're still soaking wet.
Right.
And marched about a mile before confronting a high hill defended by Confederates.
Oh, shit.
Burge ordered 3rd Brigade Commander Colonel Francis Fessenden to capture the position. Finding that its flanks could not be turned, Fessenden called for a frontal assault. From right to left were the 165th New York, 173rd New York, 30th Maine, 162nd New York.
Man, they got some Yankees up in there.
Right. They advanced across the real Yankees.
Right.
They advanced across an open field and up the hill. Across the open field and up the hill against Confederate opposition. That's what they did.
Right. After Burge's outflanking force was detected, General Major assigned Colonel George W. Baylor of the old Rebs took command of the left flank. Baylor's defense line consisted of Colonel George T. Madison's 3rd Texas Cavalry, which was called the Arizona Brigade.
Okay.
Colonel Peter C. Woods' 36th Texas Cavalry, and also Colonel Walter P. Lane's 1st Texas Partisan Rangers, and Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin W. Clark's 1st Louisiana State Guard Cavalry Battalion. The infantry was supported by 2 recently captured rifled guns from McMahon's Texas Battery under Lieutenant Fontaine.
Using their own weapons against them.
Fantastic.
Fessenden was hit in the leg, and Lieutenant Colonel J.W. Blanchard assumed command. After taking their opponents under brisk fire, Baylor's men fell back, and the Union soldiers occupied the hill.
Oh, wow.
For them. Pushing forward a half mile, Blanchard shifted his reserve units, the 13th Connecticut and the 1st Louisiana, to the right flank. While crossing another open field, Burge, his staff, and some cavalrymen rode forward to reconnoiter a wooded area in front of them.
Just as the old Union soldiers crossed a deep gully, Baylor's soldiers opened fire. Burge and his party came galloping back, disrupting the infantry formation. Many soldiers started to panic, but Colonel William O. Fisk of the 1st Louisiana rallied the men and got them moving forward again.
Good for you, Fisk.
Right. The Union soldiers pressed on, took cover in a ravine. For 10 minutes, the old Rebs continued firing, but then they suddenly abandoned the position because they ran out of ammo.
Or they're like, we're just wasting ammo.
Right.
Colonel Isham Chisholm's 2nd Texas Partisan Rangers and Baylor's 2nd Texas Cavalry Regiment, which was Arizona Brigade, were shifted to reinforce Baylor's 2nd position. The right flank was anchored on the Cane River, but the left flank did not extend far enough to reach a lake. Some Union troops were seen headed for the open flank, so Baylor ordered Madison's regiment to mount and move to the left to cover it.
Why weren't you there in the first place?
Right. Baylor sent a message to B for, he was asking for more regiments. Meanwhile, the Union battery on the north side of the Cane River began firing at Fontaine's 2 guns.
At this very time, Baylor's messenger returned from B, stating that Baylor ought to get out of there the best way.
He said, you got to go, dude. We're not sending you nothing.
By this time, though, most of B's command had retarded.
Been retarded.
They had retreated. Baylor ordered the 2nd Texas, which was the Arizona Brigade, and Fontaine's guns to hold the ferry crossing until the left wing could escape, which was done.
All right.
Near the very end of this action, Emory sent Clausen with 5 guns to suppress B's artillery fire. Some Confederates crossed the river in an attempt to capture the guns, but driven off by the 116th New York Infantry. Oh, look at that.
That's stupid. We're going to go across the river while these artillery are fighting at
Right, chest
shot
deep.
firing, right. Well, soon after, dismounted troopers of the 2nd New York Veteran Cavalry Regiment and the 116th New York splashed across the Cane River at the ferry and occupied the heights.
These sons of bitches fought in the War of 1812.
Maybe.
I doubt it.
Mexican-American for sure. Or Mexican whatever war. Worried about Davis's abortive mission downstream and Emory's demonstration in front, as well as Burge's turn and movement upstream, B had ordered a retreat to Beasley's plantation. B was convinced that both his flanks were enveloped and that Emory was about to overwhelm his position by a frontal assault. Could have. Shouldn't have even been there anyways.
Right. Emory, he sent 3 cavalry regiments to pursue B's withdrawing troops. In the twilight of the night, the Union horsemen mistakenly chased a small rebel detachment down the road to Alexandria. rather than following B's main body toward Beasley's on the Fort Jessup Road.
Jessup?
With the crossing cleared of O'Reb's, Banks' African-American Brigade laid a pontoon bridge across the Cane River, which was ready a little after nightfall.
Well, they always have the black guys doing the work.
Right. All night long, Banks' army crossed the bridge. Oh, they're doing the Congo across the bridge. Wharton's cavalry skirmished with Smith's troops during the morning.
All right.
But the old Rebs pulled back after an hour.
There, just disrupt them a little bit. The last of Smith's rear guard passed over the bridge at 2 p.m., so they started at...
Dude.
What did it didn't say?
At nightfall.
A little after nightfall, which was ready, so it took
About
freaking 12 hours.
9 o'clock. It's April, so right about 8 o'clock.
Took 16 hours to get all their people across, dude. It's crazy. Where after that time, the pontoons were taken up. Banks' leading elements arrived at Alexandria on the morning of 25th of April. Union losses during this operation numbered 300 men, including 153 from Fessenden's brigade, while B only admitted to having lost 50. I doubt it.
Right.
Taylor was furious at the escape of Banks' army, which he believed was nearly in a state of panic, and he blamed B. In his official report, of course, everybody's got to blame everybody except for the shitty job that you did.
Right.
In his official report, Taylor listed the errors made by B as follows.
It does, yeah. You can blame all you want. You guys had the terrain to, even if you had 5 men, you could have at least done some damage to that group, and you didn't do it. We're looking at the errors.
No.
Well, one error was sending Terrell's entire brigade back to Beasley's to look after a subsistence train for the safety of which I had amply provided. Second, in taking no steps to increase artificially the strength of his position. Third, in massing his troops in the center, naturally the strongest part of his position, and where the enemy were certain not to make any decided effort, obviously, instead of toward the lakes on each side of its 2 flanks. Right. That's what we were saying.
Well, that's why one got overtaken.
Right.
Or about to, anyways.
Fourth, in this, that when he was forced back, he retired his whole force 30 miles to Beasley's, instead of attacking vigorously the enemy's column while marching 13 miles to Cotile through a dense pine woods, encumbered with trains and artillery and utterly demoralized by the vigorous attacks of the Wharton in the rear. He displayed great personal gallantry, but no generalship. Wow. He's a good soldier.
Right. In his defense, B pointed out that the low water condition of the Cane River permitted the Union Army to outflank his defenses, and the immense size of Banks' army meant that success was impossible.
You should have known that.
Right. Well, he didn't know they had 15,000. He was scared when they finally saw it. Should have just immediately ran back. I mean, either or, he was getting chastised. Bagby, Major, and Wharton defended B's actions, but Taylor ignored their pleas. He removed B from command of his cavalry. Historian William Riley Brookshire asserted that much of Taylor's criticism of B was justified. However, he believed B's worst blunder was being fooled into believing that Davis's move against his right flank and Emory's demonstration against his center were major threats. Brookshire insisted that even if B had retained Terrell's brigade, fortified his position, and had not been taken in by Emory's feint attacks, B could have not stopped Banks's army anyways.
Oh, shit.
It was just too large for B to handle.
Really?
Well, yeah, when you got 15,000 to 2,000, I think you might put up a little bit of a fight, but then bye.
Right. Foiled of his prey at Monett's Ferry, Taylor still planned to trap Banks' army on the Old Red River. To isolate Banks at Alexandria, Taylor placed Steele with 1,000 men north and west of the city, Bagby with 1,000 on the south side, and Polignac with 1,200 infantry supporting Steele and Bagby. Major, he sent with 1,000 troops at David's Ferry on the Red River below Alexandria, and then Liddell with 700 on the east side of the river. Porter's fleet was trapped by low water above the falls of Alexandria, and Banks's army had to stay there until the fleet could either be saved or destroyed.
And that, the Red River campaign to be continued. Yes. We're just going to bring us to the last battle of the day, the Battle of Marx's Mill, April 25th, also known as the action at Marx's Mill. Is it Marx or Marx's?
Marx's.
It was fought in present-day Cleveland.
Marx's.
Right? Marx's.
Marx's, yeah, with after it's...
Because it's already Marx.
Right, so it's
Marx's Mill.
after.
Marx's Mill.
Marx's Mill.
Right. That was fought in present-day Cleveland County, Arkansas, following the federal defeat at the Battle of Poison Hill, or Poison Spring, which was our last episode.
Yep.
Major General Frederick Steele retained possession of Camden, while Confederate Major General Sterling Price continued his ad hoc siege upon Camden from the countryside.
Yeah, but did he, though?
That's a movie, Camden from the Countryside.
Right.
As federal provisions diminished, arrival of much-needed supplies from Pine Bluff convinced Steele that more could be obtained using the Camden-Pine Bluff Road.
Oh.
Steele ordered Lieutenant Colonel Francis Drake with over 1,400 infantry, artillery, and cavalry, and about 240 army wagons to obtain supplies from Pine Bluff.
Fantastic.
I bet you those 240 army wagons don't make it back to the Union.
Ooh, we'll see. Reinforced on the morning of 25th of April, year 1864, by some 350 additional troops. Drake's command contained approximately 800 combatants and 1,800 combatants, and including the 43rd Indiana, 36th Iowa, and the 77th Ohio, plus additional cavalry and artillery. In addition to the army wagons, some 75 additional civilian wagons belonging to cotton speculators followed along behind.
We're just speculating cotton.
Right. General Steele had strongly instructed Lieutenant Colonel Drake not to attempt a crossing of the Morrow Bayou bottom, a few miles west of Marx's Mill, after nightfall.
Okay.
So don't you do that after nightfall.
Don't you do that after night. According to Captain Samuel Swiggett of the 36th Iowa, as the supply train approached the bottom on Sunday afternoon, Drake was confronted with a nearly impassable road through the bottom due to flooding caused by recent heavy spring rainfall. Additionally, according to Swiggett, the civilian teamsters tagging along behind were growing argumentative, and hard to handle due to the slow pace.
Right.
Well, then how about say, get the fuck out of my
Right.
stuff, guys.
Right.
Drake therefore ordered the train into encampment in a field on the side of the road west of Morrow Crossing at 2 p.m., and meanwhile ordered several dozen black contrabands accompanying the train forward as pioneers to begin cutting down timber and laying a corduroy road across the muddy bottom. Yeah, get them logs on the road, boys. We got to get through this.
Others, including members of the 43rd Indiana, stated later.
At least this time others get mentioned first.
Right. They stated later that the train went into camp closer to about 4 p.m. Regardless of the precise time, it is likely, as Swiggett pointed out, that the entire train could have crossed the Morrow Bottom by evening. Union General Paul Clayton, command at Pine Bluff, he knew that Steele would be sending more wagons to Pine Bluff for additional supplies, and he had posted some of his troops at Mount Elba, halfway between Marks Mill and Pine Bluff. He did that to provide escort for any federal trains en route to Pine Bluff.
It is Swiggett's contention, therefore, that had Drake pressed on that Sunday afternoon, the train would have successfully crossed Morrow Bottom and could have been well on its way up the Pine Bluff Road to Mount Elba by nightfall.
Most likely.
Swiggett reported that as they lay in camp on the west bank of the Morrow, all experienced a feeling or foreboding.
Right.
Foreboding. They were like, something don't feel right.
Right.
Swiggett's opinion is supported by the fact that the Confederate forces had crossed the Ouachita River well below Camden and made an all-night forced march of 52 miles April 24th in order to get in front of Drake's command. Right. And consequently, the Confederates had just barely arrived at the ambush site in force early Monday morning, and they were still sorting out their ambush plan when Drake's command crossed the Morrow and continued up the road into the clearing.
Oh, shit.
So it fell right into his hands. Oh, shit. The Confederates couldn't get more lucky, huh?
Right. If Drake would have pressed forward, though, on Sunday, instead of going into camp in mid-afternoon.
Why would you camp in mid-afternoon anyways?
So stupid. It is very possible that the train would have been well ahead of the ambush site by 8 a.m. on Monday morning. And also within range of Clayton's cavalry escort posted at Mount Elba.
Right.
The 43rd Iowa took the lead, with the wagon train stretching more than a mile along muddy roads in the forest. Encountering miry ground along the rain-swollen Morrow River, Colonel Drake chose not to push through to Pine Bluff, and instead camped about 8 miles outside
This dude's lazy. He just wants to camp.
He's like, this is too hard.
Sit down. Give me a biscuit. He did so, unaware that 2 brigades of Price's cavalry with over 5,000 troops were nearby.
Oh.
Though Major Wesley Norris of the Union tried to warn Drake of movement in the woods to his front during the night, Drake laughed at his concerns and told Norris, who was a combat veteran of the Mexican War, that he got scared too easily. Although Drake was roundly criticized later by surviving soldiers of the 2nd Brigade, particularly men of the 43rd Indiana. Drake had proven his bravery in many previous fights, and indeed, he suffered a serious gunshot wound to his hip while directing his men at Marx's Mills and was carried from the field. Ooh. Oh, that doesn't make him a genius or anything. Right. So what?
Because he got shot in the hip.
Unnecessarily put himself in danger as well.
Idiot. Early morning 25th April, 1864. Following a difficult crossing of the Morrow, the 43rd Indiana and its sister units resumed their march toward Pine Bluff.
That'd be the brother units.
Right. No, there's always sister for some reason. Soon, the 43rd encountered several abandoned Rebs campsites to their front, but reports of a large rebel presence in the area were discounted by Drake, who roundly cursed Major Norris and ordered the regiment to pick up its pace. It's like,
Oh my gosh, dude! We just went through a campsite of 1,000 fires, and the ground's all fucked because all these people were here. But nope, nobody's in the area, Drake.
wow, as the 43rd emerged into a small clearing known as Mark's Mill, it was attacked by Fagan's dismounted brigade, including the 1st Arkansas Cavalry.
The Hoosiers drove the Southerners back, but were quickly hit on their right flank by additional Confederates under the command of Brigadier General William Cabell. The 43rd, supported by the 36th Iowa, now found itself facing the 1st Arkansas together with the 2nd Arkansas and Thomas Gunter's Cavalry Battalion. 43rd and 36th were forced back toward a few log cabins in the center of the clearing. Hey, there's cabins out there, huh? Now these guys are coming back during hunting season. Like, what the fuck happened to our cabins? Right. This is where their artillery raked the oncoming Southerners and was blasted in return by Hughley's Arkansas battery.
Oh, wow. So we're going back and forth and blasting each other, huh? Just when it seemed that things could not get worse, the 43rd and 36th were now hit on their left flank by Joe Shelby's cavalry of the Rebs and found themselves fighting an overwhelming force, which was they are outnumbered, and they outnumbered them 2-1. They found this force attacking from 3 directions at once. Of the 33 members of the 43rd Company G who went into the fight, 23 were mortared or wounded within the first 30 minutes, despite valiant efforts by the 77th Ohio and the 1st Iowa Cavalry to prevent the ensuing encirclement. The old Federales found themselves surrounded in the clearing and fighting for their very lives.
Jeez. The battle lasted for 4 hours altogether until they were finally compelled to surrender.
I bet they were.
One supporting artillery battery was reportedly wiped out to the last man, with its mortally wounded lieutenant firing a final gun into the oncoming rebels before succumbing to his injuries. According to Sergeant John Moss of the 43rd Indiana's Company G, the regiment did not give up en masse. Rather, continued charges by the Southerners resulted in the capture of small numbers of men each time, until only about 50 of the 43rd remained who had not been killed, wounded, run off, or captured.
Wow.
Jesus. So they were like running up, grabbing a couple. They were like,
Red Rover, Red Rover. When asked about these last remaining troops to surrender them, Norris refused, saying he would never surrender anyone but himself, and that only if he was forced to.
well, I think you're
Right.
going to be forced to, bud.
He and the others made for the woods, but Norris's horse was shot out from underneath him, and he lost a boot.
Oh, I lost the boot.
Lost a boot.
I lost the boot. What is this a boot?
I can't go on. He and his comrades were finally forced to give up only 100 yards from Shelby's command. 211 members of the 43rd were taken prisoner. Others managed to escape and made their way back to Steele's main force.
The Confederates estimated 41 killed, 108 wounded, and 144 missing.
Wow.
Federal numbers are more difficult to determine because the entire column was captured. Approximations range from 1,133 to 1,600.
Damn.
Additionally, the Confederates seized 150 African Americans and were accused of killing at least 100 others during or after the assault.
Oh, shit.
What did I say about the wagons? The loss of additional men and wagons, as well as the further depletion of federal supplies in Camden.
Oh, wow.
Seriously challenged Steele's position, and combined with the arrival of Lieutenant General Kirby Smith's command, forced Steele to abandon Camden on April 26th and march northward towards Little Rock. Just a disastrous Red River / Camden campaign expedition, dude.
Right.
This is terrible.
Following this very battle, a Federale soldier in the 36th Iowa commented that the Rebs, they robbed nearly every man of us, even to our chaplain.
Oh, geez, not the father.
They stripped every stitch of clothes, even their shirts, boots, and socks, and left the dead unburied and the woods on fire. Clothing was also pulled from the wounded as they begged for mercy. No respect was given for persons' rank or age. Old Captain Charles Moss of the 43rd Indiana Infantry was marched bareheaded. Oh, they always wear
He didn't have no hair, man.
He was marched bareheaded with his bald head and white locks and beard in the burning sun.
Poor guy. He's probably like 60. Federal records indicate Federal records indicate that some 190 infantrymen and cavalrymen escaped and made their way overland to report in at the Federal Depot at Pine Bluff or made it all the way to Little Rock. Colonel William McLean, commanding the brigade of which the 3 federal regiments had been a part of.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Right.
McLean, not the same.
Same thing, right? He wrote that some captured prisoners were stripped and forced to march into captivity completely naked. The Confederates reportedly left the Federal dead on the field for 3 days before any attempt was made to bury them. That's bullshit. Yeah. What this was according to McLean, anyways.
Right. Most of the soldiers that were captured from the 36th Iowa, 43rd Indiana, 77th Ohio, and Peach's Battery of the 1st Missouri Light Artillery, they were marched to Tyler, Texas, where they were incarcerated at a prison stockade at Camp Ford. Many died there over the next year from malnutrition and diseases. But there were several successful escapes. Most of the prisoners remaining alive were released in the year of 1865.
What about the ones that, most of them?
Right. The 43rd Indiana's regimental history tells of a federal paymaster with over $175,000 in greenbacks among those captured at Mark Mills. The money fell into old rebel hands and was supposedly used by Southern authorities in a futile attempt to purchase the freedom of old rebel prisoners confined in Chicago.
Okay.
So they stole the Union money to get their
guys out, apparently, but the guys are like, we don't need it.
right.
Especially you came to Chicago, you see all this industry, you see all this smoke cloud in the air, dude. William Cabell paid tribute to the courage and tenacity exhibited by his enemies during the battle. Men, he wrote, never fought better. They whipped the best infantry regiments that the enemy had, old veterans as they were called. The killed and wounded of Cabell's brigade shows... Wait, he's not saying that anymore? The killed and wounded of Cabell's brigade shows how stubborn the enemy was and how reluctantly they gave up the train. Okay, so he referred to his own brigade as Cabell's brigade. Good for him. Right. Nevertheless, the debacle at Marsh's Mills is considered by some historians to be the worst defeat ever suffered by federal forces west of the this side of the Mississippi.
West of the Mississippi, yeah, I would say so far. Ironically, though, the disastrous defeat at Marsh's Mills was credited with saving the remainder of Steele's army from annihilation. Fagan and Shelby had been ordered to get between Steele's force and its original base at Little Rock. Had they done so, there's no question that their overwhelming numbers, combined with additional units advancing under their commander, Kirby Smith, would have surrounded Steele and compelled his destruction or surrender. By disobeying General Smith's orders, engaging Drake's brigade at Marsh's Mills, Shelby and Fagan caused a delay in the old rebel advance.
See, stupid.
That proved to be just long enough for Steele to evacuate Camden and lead the battered remnants of his force to safety.
Wow. Although Colonel Drake would later go on to a successful political career in his home state of Iowa, including winning the governorship of that state.
No shit.
The regimental historian of the 36th Iowa wrote that the men of the 43rd Indiana held him in extreme contempt long after the war for quote-unquote leading them straight into ambush by its dithering indecisiveness at Marsh's Mills.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know. Is he a hero or not? He saved Steele's bigger army, and I mean, got a bunch of people killed just because he's lazy.
Right.
Idiot.
He could have went out a different way.
Right. Well,
he's lucky that the Rebs didn't defend that Mark's Mill better. They would have been annihilated.
This whole Red River campaign and the Camden expedition has just been nothing but a disaster for the Union. I don't even know why they're still trying to do things. Go, leave, retreat to wherever the fuck you came from and start over, guys. It's just embarrassing.
It is. It's bad.
Embarrassing. Well, the Red River campaign ain't over yet because we got the Battle of Jenkins Ferry next week. Or this is the Camden campaign. When the fuck is the Red River campaign over with?
Gotta be soon.
But in the Red River campaign, we still got Alexandria, Mansura, and the Yellow Bayou coming up for the actual Red River or Louisiana part of it.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. Which would be... We don't have any of those.
Not for a while.
Wait.
There they go.
Where?
Down there. A couple weeks away.
Holy shit, dude. Seriously?
Yeah.
What they do? Take some time, I guess?
Yeah.
I guess. Well, and then we'll have the Jenkins Ferry and the Battle of Albemarle Sound in North Carolina. Moving on to a different freaking state, at least, which is going to be the operations against New Bern in Plymouth.
Oh.
Going to have Who the hell is Meloncton Smith?
Oh.
Hey, we haven't had one of these in a while. A gunboat battle, so warships. But what are you gonna do? You gotta do what you gotta do, because after that, the first big battle of 1864, which is the Battle of the Wilderness, going back to Virginia for the first time this year, I believe. May 5th through the 7th, and we got the big boys here, guys.
Oh, shit. Lee,
we got
Longstreet,
the big
Ewell,
boys.
Hill, and Stewart versus Grant. Damn. Grant, Meade, Hancock. Oh, shit. Burnside, Sheridan, Sedgwick. Holy
everybody, dude.
Gracious.
Oh, my. We got a strength of 118,000 to 66,000.
Damn.
This is a big battle, dude.
That didn't quite work out for the
It's
old...
a lot killed on either side, though. Holy shit. Grant's plan to eliminate Lee's army.
He didn't do it.
He didn't eliminate it.
He
But,
doubled his army.
Didn't eliminate it, but nobody won that battle, so that'd be a good one.
I don't know how.
We got a good one coming up. We're back to Virginia, boys, and we're back to action.
Can't wait.
In the meantime, at Bang Dang, we're gonna do YouTube. Check out our exclusives. Our exclusive Dart League. 3rd season of 9 seasons that we have so far on the books. Yeah, we got a lot going on the old Dart League. So if you guys are a fan of darts and stupid people playing darts and sucking at darts most of the time, go check us out on YouTube. Also, our other shows are on there as well, or podcast apps. Outlaws and Gunslingers, kind of a true crime podcast, I guess you can call it. And Lee and Corey on the Case, a stupid podcast, and others.
And others.
We'll be back next week for 2 more battles before the big one the week after that. So make sure you join us right here on the Battles of the American Civil War. We are the Mother Michigan.
Sports. Bang dang.
The sport of killing.
Right.